Okay, gang. This is the second music lesson. I have this cough, so you're gonna have to put up with it because I can't figure out how to pause the recording. We're gonna cover note duration, measures, and time signature. So note duration, measures, and time signature, restoration, and then we're gonna cover the circle of fifths quickly. Now, I hope you guys are looking at this stuff because you can go in your own time and figure this stuff out. Then it'll be at least you might have questions and I can answer them. It'll be a lot more efficient. So for note duration, you have to understand that what we are looking at is whenever we have a whole note, it depends on how whole the bar is. So that's a whole note, but whole in what sense? Okay, in 4/4 time, this guy, this little watermelon thing, has 4 beats. But let's say it's a 6/8 bar, then it has 6/8 notes. It'll be written a little bit differently, but it's still a whole note. This is a half note, which is 2 beats. That's a quarter note. So that's 1 beat. Okay. So it's if it's in four, you've got four of these guys in every single bar, no more nor less. You can have one of these and two of these, that equals four. Let's say it's a 3/4 bar, then you'll have either three of these or one of these and one of these. It adds up to three. You could have a bunch of these, which are eighth notes, which are half of that, the quarter note. So let's say it's a 3/4 bar. How many eighth notes do we have if we have three of these? Right, 3 times 2. We got 6 of these. And we'd have twice as many at 16 notes than we have as 8 notes because it takes 2 of these to make this, takes 2 of these to make this. So how many of these takes to make that? 4. Okay. Okay. So we understand that it breaks down from the duration of the longest value, which is that. This is half of that. That's half of that. That's half of that. And that's half of that. Now it goes more and more the more flags you put on. So this is a 16 note. If you have another flag, it'd be called a 32nd note. If you had yet another flag, we play those all the time, that's a 64th note. Now we haven't got to 128th notes yet because I don't think anybody's crazy enough to do that. But you never know. Mathematically, just remember that every time you add a flag, it's half of the value of the note before it. Okay, so this is half of that. So it takes 2 of these to make one of those. Takes 2 of these to make one of those. Takes 2 of these to make one of those. Great. Whole note has the longest note duration in modern music. There's all kinds of ways to have written them. One of them is like you have in a bar, you have in a bar, and you have a stretched out black fat line. That's a note that sits there for the entire duration of that particular bar. Okay. So we talked about the half note, that it's half the duration. So it takes 2 of those to make one of those watermelon things. Okay. Quarter note is a fourth of the whole note, and this is usually the primary beat, but it could be the secondary beat. It depends on how the composer writes this stuff. So you see, you got 4 to make one of those, or you got 2 of these to make one of those. Talked about smaller duration flags. Eighth note has 1 flag. Yeah. 2 eighth notes make a quarter note. 16th note is half of the eighth note. That's You know that already. And that 260 notes equals an eighth note. 460 notes equal a quarter note. Okay, so we know that. And although we have notes with three or more flags, it's seldom used unless you play the violin and you play Bach, or you play the organ and you play Bach, and he gets a whole bunch of flags in there, but a whole bunch of dots. So you never know, and it's good to be a little bit savvy in math to figure out exactly how fast things are going. Okay, so this chart shows the relationship of how many of what type of notes make up what. Please go through this so that you understand. If any questions, come ask me. The measures and time signatures are really important because this is the setting at which notes appear, right? So this is the staff, and just say we have it in two measures. Got one measure, right? Got another measure. The time signature defines the amount and type of notes that each measure contains. So that's 4/4, the first bar. Let's say it changes the key signature in the second bar. That's 3/4. How many beats in this one, guys? 4. How many beats in this one? 3, right? 4, 3. Of what kind of notes? Quarter notes. Quarter notes. Okay. Remember how many quarters in a dollar? 4. All right, great. See that? 4 quarter notes. That's a dollar. That's a dollar's worth of notes, okay? Second measure, you got 3, so what's that like? It's like the 75 cents, right? Right there. 3 quarters. All right, think of it that way. When you have non-quarter note signatures, you can have it where the primary beat is the eighth note. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. This one would be 3, 2. So there'd be 3 half notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and. That's how you count it. 6 eighth notes, 3 half notes. Okay. So that's the chart. Now there's a lot of different ways to write music, and this is just the beginning of it. But these are the more common, easy to see ones that we actually sing in Mass. And what's important to know is that you don't ever have more than what's there. You can slow down, which we'll do for music, but you don't add any stuff in there that's not there. Okay, great. Sorry about the cough, guys. You can't get rid of this cough. Now, restoration is this. That's a whole rest. In other words, the whole bar is a rest. Now, we just got done with a Mass that the last one of the hymns, the last bar, so that's a line here and that's a line here, and the music stopped on this side. And the composer wrote a bar that looked like this. And guess what everybody did? And I don't know why, but everybody just ignored what this was. And they started singing, they finished singing, and they went to the top and started singing again without any break. But that was there for a reason. It was a composer reason and a mathematical reason on top of that. This bar has to be recognized when you get to it as a whole bar rest. Right? So if it's 3/4, that guy has 3 beats of rest before you start singing anything again. Right? If it's a 4/4 time signature, it's 4 beats of rest before you do anything again. It's not there for no reason. You have to recognize what these things are. Okay? Now this one is a half bar of rest of whatever the bar signature is. Okay, so if this is a 6/8 bar, and you got a line here and a line here, how many beats of rest is there in a 6/8 bar if this is only a half a bar rest? Right, 3/8, half a 6/8. Okay, so you'd obviously have 3/8 notes somewhere in the bar, and then you'd see this guy. It all has to add up. It has to add up. If it doesn't add up, something's wrong. So let's look at that. This represents that, but there is no sound, there is no action. We all look at each other and we count to four if it's in 4/4, and we don't do anything until it's done. Those 4 beats have passed. Okay? You don't start singing again just because you feel like it. Here's another one that represents this in a rest, where there is nothing that you can do except wait for the time to pass. And you have to wait exactly for the time to pass. This represents this quarter note, this squiggly thing, when they had pens with quills and stuff and ink, things that you dipped in. That's what you do for a rest. That is a 1 beat quarter rest. That represents that. This is an 8th note rest, like that. 16th note rest. Now, if you got a 32nd note rest, that guy would have 3 of these things on it. Okay? So it just goes on and on. Quarter note rest. Quarter note being silent. That amount of time being silent. Okay? So that's 4 beats where you actually do something. You're singing this note, this F, right? That's a G. So you go 1 space under, that's F. So that's 4 beats of F. F, F, F. When you played, all 4 notes sound. Next, we'll place the second with a rest. So let's see what that would sound like. I figured out how to use this piano because it's pretty cool. Okay, so that's an A, and that's a C. So where is F? Let's work backwards from A. A, G, F. Yay, that's an F. Okay, F natural, right? So let's play this bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, rest, 3, 4. You got that? Let's do it again. 1, rest, 3, 4. Okay? So it's really not that complicated, but you have to recognize these things. They're not make believe. And you should rely on what it looks like rather than what you heard on YouTube. Now let's see the other types of rest. The whole rest occupies the same amount of time as a whole note, or the duration of the bar. It's drawn like an upside down hat. The half rest is drawn on top of the line, and it looks like a hat. So you can call it a hat rest, but it's really a half rest. Okay? There's your hat. Okay. Quarter note, we covered that, 8 and 16. So the flag is that, and that just means it's like a flag on the tail of a note, and how many of those flags tells you what kind of rest it is. Okay. Okay. It's a 16th rest. It's not rare. I don't know why it says it's rare. Use this chart for references. All these guys add up to these guys, which add up to these guys, which add up to these guys. Half rest, full rest. All right. Moving along. We'll cover dots and ties later because We're going to get into more complicated things as things move forward. I just want to make sure that you understand that rests are just as important as notes, which is the sound. The stuff in between the sound has a profound effect on music. And if you ignore it, you're taking half of the meaning of the music away. Okay? And I'll give you advanced lessons later on when I'll have samples to play of music where the rest is really, really important. And a lot of times, to be honest with you, the rest is more difficult than the sound. Because sometimes the rest has more intensity and meaning in the music than the sound part. Yes. Okay, so let's go on. How I don't know how long I've been going on, but let's go back to our circle of fifths. Okay. Let's see. Circle of fifths. Oh, I know. Here we go. Where's my circle of fifths chart? Okay, let's put our Peter and Paul logo back where it belongs. And let's put our screen where we can get at it easily. And let's go to circle of fifths. And then this way, I can kind of get, I don't know if they'll have a keyboard here. Yeah, here we go. Pop up. There we go. I need that guy, and I need that guy. Okay. Maybe I can make this guy a little smaller so you can see the key of that. Alright. The circle of fifths. Have you guys ever written the bus? The bus? Yeah. Now, how great would it be if you got on the bus and you didn't know where to get off? Huh? That would be pretty awesome, right? You'd be lost every day of your life. Well, music is a lot like riding the bus. The circle of fifths is a map. It tells you what key you're going to sing in. So you know what bus stop you got off of and where you are. How's that for a good explanation? Nobody ever gave me that explanation. I thought of that all by myself. Okay, so remember we start off with the key of C, which is no sharps and no flats. So the key of C sounds like this, white keys. Right? You see any flats or sharps in the key of C? No, you see a sharp here in the key of G. You see a flat here in the key of F. But you don't see any sharps or flats in the key of C. Okay? But we have a problem here. Not a problem. We have a relationship. That key of C, which has no sharps or flats, has a relative minor. Now, if you look on the other side of the line, it has a letter here. The minor keys, A. Okay? A. And it would be A minor. So if this is C major, the minor is 1.5 steps lower. Okay? C, B, A. A minor. So no sharps and no flats in minor key is this. A minor. That's natural minor, okay? Now, a lot of times music is mostly written in melodic minor, so that's a little bit different. We'll go over it, but it sounds like this. and then you go back down differently. That's just a way minor keys work. There's way different type of minors, but there's only one type of major. Okay, so that's the home key of C. No flats, no sharps. Now, what does this bus stop say? One sharp. And why in the world is one sharp the key of G? Why is it? It just is. It's always when you go clockwise till you get to F sharp major, every sharp that you add, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sharps, you go 5 notes from the home key of C. So if it's C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's G. G has one sharp, has F major, F sharp in the G major scale. So what that sounds like is, let's do this G. Now here's F sharp. You see why there's an F sharp in G? Because there just is. Excuse me, I'm not a pianist, and I'm definitely not a computer pianist. So that's the rule. That's how you get the A minor relative minor key to the C. So if you looked at any of the hymns that we sing, and we've had some maybe like the up to A, maybe sometimes an E, and we have sometimes like E flat, sometimes A flat. We have these keys, but when you play a lot of music, you'll get to these really scrubby ones down here. Okay, a lot, often, especially if you play like Mahler and Strauss and those guys, and Wagner. They love these guys. Okay, so the thing about it is for you to understand how to establish what the key signature is by looking at the hymn, the music in the hymn. Because this is where you get off. You can find the tonal center of the scale or the key by what it says on the circle of fifths. Now, just so happens that the 6 o'clock position key has two names. It's either F sharp major or G flat minor. Technically, they're the same. It's just written differently. Okay, so you just gotta choose one. If somebody wants to I mean, they're almost equal. Usually, if they're progressing from a flatted key, they'll go to the next flatted key, which is that. Now, there is no more flatted keys after that because then it turns into another key that's just there already. So, this is really important to remember. 5 notes apart that way gives you the sharps. 5 notes apart this way gives you the flats. So here's the C, here's the C. 5 notes apart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the key of F. This guy, key of F. Okay? So, sorry. This is a B flat. So, that's your B flat. Okay? That's only one flat, but that's why it's the key of F. There's a one flat, B flat. How do we know it's B flat? Because we know this line in the clef that this guy circles, and you got the X marks the spot right there is a G, because this is a fancy G. All right, like a script G that they used to write back in the old days. So that's G in the treble clef. G space is A. Next line is a B. When they put this flat in there, it turns this line into B flat. That's this guy. Okay. Now I expected you to, after 2 weeks, to like figure that out for the first lesson. Okay. So this is really important. If you want to find out what you're singing at home without listening to YouTube, and by the way, this YouTube thing is throwing me off a lot of times because they don't perform it in the key that's written. You won't know how to practice because you be singing the wrong notes. How's that? That's you got off on the wrong bus stop instead of getting off at Kaka'ako. You got off at Eva Beach. You're far away. It doesn't really help. So what you really need to do is you really need to familiarize yourself with the keys, so you know where you got off, so you know where you're gonna walk to. You need to know this to practice the music. Okay. If you have any questions with this, please call me or see me at Mass, and I'll answer your questions. This is really important. Circle of fifths. Okay. So um, I think that's about it for me. Um, we'll have a review session at some point after we cover the next bunch of things, and I think that we're gonna go into a little bit more exotic things so that you understand why, like, there are different minor scales that exist in major scale, how the major scale works, and scale degrees, and all of these things. I don't care so much that you know this stuff. I care that you know how to get off at the right stop for the bus and know where you are. Okay. If you don't have a piano, you can always buy a pitch pipe, or you can listen to the phone. There's a certain note. You can always rely on the phone tone. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to figure out to be responsible. The type of musician you are is that you all like are facing the right way, doing the right things, and learning how to sing together when we have a practice, and not run into a situation where you are guessing. Guessing is not good in music. Okay, so until next time, hopefully I'll get rid of my cold, and we'll get to lesson 3 soon enough. Okay, that's it. See you guys later.